today we're going to talk hypertension. And with me on today's program is Dr. Audrey Gilkes. And she is someone who is successfully living with hypertension, and you cannot tell by looking at her. Actually, if I didn't have a conversation with her, I would have no clue that she is living with and managing this disease so well. Dr. Gilkes, you are the Director of Special Projects here. You have been a police. You are a nurse.
Yes.
You were a PS.
Yeah.
You were the Chief Nursing Officer. Those are some of the many hats that you wear. So just share a little bit about yourself and tell us about, we'll get into the management of something like hypertension. We were focusing on diabetes last week, so we want to look a little bit more on hypertension right now.
Okay, well, generally I am an active person in all aspects of life, in everything that I undertake. I believe that if you want something bad enough, you do not sit around and wait for someone else to do it for you. You do not sit around and wait for it to happen. If we are to remember the story of the woman who sat at the river waiting for someone to wash her clothes, you do not sit around and wait, you take control. And that has been my motto, my philosophy throughout my life. I was diagnosed with hypertension very long time ago. About 35 years ago. I was very young. And how was I diagnosed? I am a migraine sufferer also. And one day I had a severe headache, which I thought was another of my migraine attacks. And luckily it was a day when the district doctor visited the health center in Byram. I am from Byram.
Right.
But on assessment, my blood pressure was very high. But they could not determine whether or not the elevated blood pressure at that time was as a result of the headache or if something else was going on. And I remember being medicated and placed in a room and asked to rest. I slept. But when I woke up and they rechecked my blood pressure, it was still high. And I was asked to visit the health center daily for a few days. And on each visit, my blood pressure was high. In the meantime though, the nurse advised on diet.
Were you a nurse at that time, was it?
I was not a nurse. I told you I was very young and I was unemployed. I was at home.
Okay.
I was very young. In the beginning, hypertension, it didn't mean much to me.
Okay.
I didn't understand at that time, even though the nurse explained to me the implications of having hypertension. It really didn't register to me, and that is why I'm able to understand some people when they are diagnosed initially.
But is it from a perspective of you being in denial, or is it just a real lack of understanding the illness and what it means or what it can mean for you if you don't manage and take care of it?
At the time, it was a lack of understanding. Information in those days, I'm talking about in the early 70s, information in those days were not as forthcoming as now. There's information everywhere these days on anything. We didn't have the internet to go and search for additional information. So it didn't really get home to me the implications of hypertension. And so for a while, for a number of years, I had elevated blood pressure. The time I visited the doctor, my blood pressure was high. And when I really, really, really decided to take control of this condition, of myself, was my very first entrance into the nursing profession. That's over 20-something years ago.
Okay.
That was when I really got an understanding of hypertension and what it meant if it is not controlled, and also what it meant if it is well controlled. When I saw patients lying on the bed at hospital during my orientation period as a nursing student, that would have been the very first week,
Right.
1980 something. Patients lying on the bed and they could not wipe their face if there was a flying thing. They were totally helpless. And I said to myself, that is not going to happen to me.
So that was the roundabout
That's
changing
what
your
I have to take
charge.
control. I had to take charge of my life, of my health. And then I remember all the things which Nurse O'Neill had said to me, the district nurse. And now I have access to information. I have my textbook, and so I read some more even before we got to the condition, because like I said, this was my first week during orientation.
Right.
So we were not taught disease conditions as yet, because the curriculum is organized in such a way where wellness is taught before illness. But I decided to go ahead and read the information in my textbook. And so I took control of my diet and exercise. They say that I'm an exercise freak. I love it.
You kinda are.
I love to exercise. But when I say diet, I do not mean that I go on a diet. It just means that, one, I do not overindulge, and two, I try as much as possible to avoid foods which are high in salt content. So I do not eat chips.
No form of chips?
No form of chips. I have no interest in chips. If you notice, you have the salt. When you look at the bag, you have the salt. You can see the salt
Right.
in the bag now. I do not want chips. Like some people, I also have a challenge every now and again. And I hope that this will not negatively impact the thought process of persons who are hypertensive.
Right.
But I too have my challenge in terms of diet. I love pigtail and codfish. But I also monitor. If I eat food containing pigtail, I monitor my blood pressure. I know that salt is a trigger,
Right.
the biggest trigger of my blood pressure. I will monitor it, and it will be the only time I'm required to take the medication. I will take it for a day. I also,
And this is because you're managing your hypertension with exercise and with watching and being careful what you eat.
exactly. But after a while, whereas in the past I may have had a diastolic of 100 millimeters of mercury, now if my diastolic reaches 90 millimeters of mercury, I know, because I feel it. I understand my body,
Right.
and I feel it. So I will know that my blood pressure is elevated and I need to get it down. I do not always have to take the medication when it is there. I just eliminate this salty food totally.
Right.
No more pigtail, no more codfish for a while. And yes, I exercise. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. I do not drink sodas or sweet drink, although that is not a merely will eliminate if you're hypertensive. But we all know that hypertension and diabetes tend to go hand in hand.
Also, that is something to note for persons who may be watching this program. If you're hypertensive, or if you have family members with a history of hypertension or diabetes, then it is a signal to you that you must be more careful in how you manage what you eat and how you exercise and how you care for yourself.
Well, it is a predisposition. Your family history predisposes you, and I believe that is why I was diagnosed as being hypertensive from such
early
stage, from such a young age. But the key is control.
But isn't it very challenging to control it? Because a lot of persons may say, "Oh, Dr. Gilkes, it's easier said than done." How?
I had the same struggles. as some persons are having. But then it was up to me. Why should it be hard for me to take care of me? I'm not being asked to take care of somebody else's health. I'm being asked to take care of me. So why should it be a problem to take care of me? And you do not have to buy expensive food. Some people believe controlling hypertension and diabetes mean that you have to spend a lot of money. I don't know if I told you before. I grow a little seasoning little thing in my flower pot. Everybody else grow flowers, plant flowers. I plant food in the flower pot. Decorate the veranda with flower pot with food. That's what I plant. I eat a lot of ground provision. I eat rice only if I'm eating away from home at social events, and if there is nothing else, I may take just a little bit. I do not cook rice at home. I almost eliminated bread.
Almost?
Yeah, because like I say, if I'm socializing, I visit your home and you offer me bread.
Right.
I will eat it. But I do not bake bread, I do not buy bread.
Okay.
It's not that
so you take the distraction away from yourself, but you indulge on a social basis if you're somewhere, and so that is also a control method. So it's not that you wouldn't have it, but you control the means in which you have it. Now, can you just tell me about some of the complications that persons with hypertension may generally experience?
Hypertension affects the entire body, all the systems, especially your circulatory system. It affects the blood vessels, so you can end up with visual problems, renal problems, stroke, cardiac problems. You can end up with a heart attack. It limits your physical activity if those conditions, if your systems are affected by hypertension and the condition worsens, it affects the quality of your life. If you have a heart condition, you are tired easily. If you have a stroke, naturally you cannot move up, and if you survive, you cannot move around as you would want because there's some limitations to your mobility. And frankly speaking, I love me too much not to take care of me. I really love myself.
Or to be crippled by a disease you can control.
Exactly.
So hypertension and diabetes that we're learning are diseases that can be controlled, and a part of what we've been pushing, and that is why I ask you to share your story, is that you are not the illness, you are not the disease, you can control it. So a lot of persons say I am hypertensive. It's like labeling yourself as this person. You have the disease, but you are not the disease. And it's important in terms of how we help persons to understand that with the management of themselves, what they eat, how they exercise, how they think, how they live, they can control these diseases and change the direction in terms of where their life goes, in terms of their lifespan.
And we have to understand that the disease is here to stay. We have it. There's nothing we can do except to control it. It's either we control hypertension or hypertension will control us.
What about persons who say something have to kill me?
They say that until something happens. And as a nurse, I can tell you, sometimes you hear the regrets. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? I should have done this. I should have done that. They say that until something happens to them or somebody close to them. So I really do not buy that line of argument at all.
Okay. What encouragement would you give to persons now who are struggling with hypertension and controlling or managing it?
I would say to people, stop allowing your condition to control you. You are in charge. Take control of yourself, take control of your life. Yes, you may be hypertensive or diabetic, but you do not have to live as if you are. Somebody should not look at you and say you have a disease condition.
Right.
Like me, I have to tell somebody that I have been a hypertensive patient for the past 35 years, and it's really, yes, really. Like me, your blood pressure can be controlled. Exercise. And for persons who may not be able to engage in vigorous exercise, and this may be for older persons or persons who already have some form of disability, there are passive exercises. You do not have to go running the stairs or kickboxing. There are passive exercises, range of motion exercises you can do with your hands, your feet, your neck, just by sitting, just by walking around your house a few times daily, several times a day for persons who are at home. There is also the complaint from some persons that they do not have the time because they have to work, they have to look after the home, and they do not have the time. I am saying to those persons, you do not have the time now. But if you get a stroke or some complication as a result of hypertension and diabetes, and you are hospitalized, that's a lot of time you have.
Right.
That is a lot of time. And then you cannot do anything when you're lying on the bed. So take the time now. It doesn't take much. It does not take much. It depends on how much you want to take control of yourself. Exercise, eat well, listen to the advice of your healthcare providers, and at the first sign that something is wrong, you have to report it. But in order to do that, you have to understand your body. When your body speaks, you have to listen. A lot of the times there are some signs, some symptoms, but we take it for granted. But that is the body speaking, and we need to listen. Just pretend as if it's your neighbor come across to whisper something in your ear, something juicy. That's your body whispering to you. Listen, take it seriously, and act on it.
Final thing, Christmas is coming. You know this is a period of time where compliance is low. People want to engage in traditional stuff, whether it's eating, especially eating. Things that they probably wouldn't have all year round, the sorrel, certain hams, certain baked products and stuff. How do you encourage them to keep focus in terms of their management and control at this time of the year?
Every year, from January, the medical wards at the Milton K2 Memorial Hospital overflow. We don't have enough beds to place patients for that very reason. They overindulge at Christmas time, knowing the consequences.
Knowing the consequences.
Knowing the consequences. And like you say, some people say something have to kill you. At Christmas, they say that. Yes, all the advice I give before, it is not for 1 day, 2 months, 11 months of the year. It is advised for all times, whether it's Christmas, Easter, wedding, it is advised for all times. You cannot put your health on hold because it is Christmas time. You cannot say, well, let me put it up there and I will eat what I want because it is Christmas, and then I will come back and pick up from where I left off. It doesn't happen like that at all. The temptations are there. I know because I'm speaking from experience. The temptations are there. It's just up to you. Just up to you. Do not overindulge. I will not say do not partake. Do not overindulge. And I cannot do that for anybody. You cannot do that for anybody. People must do that for themselves. I prepare to the times my family Christmas dinner. Everybody come to my home, and I look at people enjoying it, and I eat what I know that I should eat. Nobody can do that for me. It is my decision, just like it is the decision of every person who has a medical condition, hypertension or diabetes. No one can do it for you. It is up to you. It is up to me. It is up to you, Mrs. Isa. The extent to which you want to take control of your life. And having a condition doesn't mean that you have to be gloomy and, oh, I'm hypertensive and diabetic. Oh no. Live life. Enjoy to the fullest. Be happy. It's just a condition like any other. It's just how we manage it.
Alright. Thank you, Dr. Gilkes, so much for taking the time out to share with us your personal story and for giving us tips and advice on how to manage and control living with an illness such as diabetes and hypertension. We really appreciated this, and we just want to encourage persons, remember that our health or your health is a shared responsibility, so you have to ensure that you take this information. Dr. Gilkes has taken the time out to come and share her experience as part of her responsibility to help you to stay focused, to stay in charge of your health and to take care of it. We cannot depend on the health sector to do it for you. You have to play your role in the process. Thank you so much. Same place, same time for more on Let's Talk Health.